Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala barakatuh. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin, wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillah, we are still discussing on chapter 4 of our book, Holistic Human Behavior and the Laws of Learning, and how conditioning affects our worldview and how we can transform this world to a better world through our understanding of the laws of learning and applying positive reinforcement. So this chapter, the subtopic that we are discussing is understanding the concept of fairness, honesty and truth. So again, this is chapter 4 of our book, and I'll give you some idea. This is higher philosophical thinking that we have to embrace, because Islam is a deen of knowledge, a deen of justice, a deen of fairness, honesty and truth. So how are we going to manifest it in the 21st century and beyond? And how Muslims are going to live in the world so that we can bring this idealism towards a profane world, a world that is just based on consumerism, a world that is just about eating, drinking, sex, pornography, video games, fun kind of hedonistic lifestyle, pleasure, that has already degenerated this 21st century to a level of human beings becoming mere animals. If we are living in this world based on consumption, we are no more like a fat series of cows. You go to the dairy farms, you can see that these fat cows are being used to produce milk. Every day they produce milk, they are given very good diet, they are fat and plump and very nice looking. All right, and every day they're given very good diet, so they start eat, produce milk, sleep, eat, produce milk, sleep, eat, produce milk, sleep, and at the end of their life, what do they get? They are they become dog food. They are just slaughtered and sent to the slaughterhouse and made into dog food. Is that our life? So this is where we have to philosophically think how we can generate a generation of an ummah that has civilizational values, adab, courtesy, value system, and one of the most important value system within Islam is truth. And concept of fairness, honesty and truth is very important. So I'm going to give you an overview of our chapter 4, how conditioning and the laws of learning affect our idea. The meaning of fairness, honesty and positive is both very simple and very complex. Simply put it, that which is fair is right, that which honest is true, and that which is positive is other than negative. So very simple, understand from the perspective of argument. As we have defined, right is all action that is in harmony with the natural order. So what is the natural order of a human being? We are the Khalifatullah fil ard. So that is our natural order, to express our highest human potential towards the journey towards perfection as we go through this life. So that is what is the natural order. Our natural order is not the same as the natural order of the chimpanzee or the fish or the cat. We have a natural order to manifest the goodness in this world. That which is right aids the progressive development towards perfection. So we are on the journey towards becoming perfect in terms of our spiritual, emotional and mental self. So we become al-insanul kamil. That is within the metaphysics of Islam. So no thoughts, words or deeds which stand in the way of the quest for perfection could ever be considered fair. Truth is a statement of the way things are. Absolute truth is identical with perfect existence. So absolute truth cannot be manifested in this physical plane, because absolute truth resides with the absolute, that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The relative truth is consistent with the material plane. So what we have on the material plane, on the physical plane, as we journey our life through this earth, is just a relative truth. All right? Both relative and absolute truth can be perfectly be known only from the perspective beyond the material plane. So only from the perspective of the deen or the Aqidah of Islam can we understand the meaning of perfect truth. So that's why this Deenul Islam is the manifestation of what is the perfect truth as ordained by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is a possessor, and his absoluteness in terms of his attributes of perfection and truth. Neither relative nor absolute truth can be perfectly known from perspective of the material plane. Truth to a being existing on the material plane can only be known as a probability. So we are probability on the journey towards fairness, towards honesty, or towards truth, or we are degrading towards the journey of chaos, of inconsistency, falsehood, and so on. The higher the probability, the closer is to the absolute truth. Truth at our level of existence is consistent with the highest probability of the statement of natural order. So all these aspects of, for example, the Sharia, the Deen of Islam, the Usul Fiqh, the Iman, Islam, Ihsan, metaphysical worldview of Islam, is this expression of that probable truth from the perspective of our understanding relative to the absolute revelation that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us as a way of life. So the meaning of positive comes from the laws of learning. All forms of negative control are harmful. We saw that negative reinforcement, presentation reinforcement, and withdrawal punishment are forms of negative control. Positive reinforcement remain the most legitimate form of influence. However, this does not mean that anything which is fair, honest, and positive is harmful. Rather, we should be free to think, speak, and act in any way that is fair, honest, and positive. So we Muslims must develop a societal worldview, because unfortunately this whole idealism or the view of the civilizational Islam has been lost by the despotic means in the 20th century, because of the oppression that is imposed upon by the colonial masters to the lands of Islam. We have lost this beautiful idealism of freedom, of truth, of honesty, and of positivity. So we are ruled by despots, all right? And the geopolitics of the dunya is such that these despots are fed by the geopolitics of oppression, of subjugation, of exploitation. So we have to face that reality. That's why all this topsy-turvy, all this extremism that we see in Daesh, IS, Boko Haram are manifestation of the despotic suffering of the people by the despots. And because of that, this is a reflection of violence, which is not the worldview of Islam. So that's why we have to have a beautiful understanding of the nature of what we need to bring about of a beautiful civilizational Islam based on the concept of fairness, honesty, and truth. When the true nature of our existence and purpose is known to its fullest, it will be easy to give up the temptation of the material world and live in harmony with the natural world. This is what this existential question of 21st century humanity is facing. We are being fed with the extremities of the worldly hedonistic pleasure without understanding the reality of the natural order, of the higher order of human being as being the vicegerent of God on Allah, the custodian of this world. So we are just fed, and as I mentioned in the earlier example, we are just like the fat cows going to the slaughterhouse, just stupidly living in a world of material pleasure without understanding the nature of the higher values of knowledge, of peace, of truth, of harmony, of so many of this value system that is inculcated within the views of civilizational Islam. When the true nature of our existence and purpose is known in its fullest, it will be easy for us to give up the temptation of the material world and live in harmony with the natural order. When that truth has not been experienced, I can understand how what is asked may seem to be insurmountable burden. So this is where the Muslims today have to face this real challenge. Are we going to be just mere consumers? Are we just going to live in a world like assembly line workers, just getting your daily wage, then go home, sleep, have sex, no children now, more or less and less children nowadays. So we are just degrading our dignity. So Islam offers this opportunity for Muslims first, because we believe in this deen. We believe in the beauty of this Deenul Islam. We believe in the higher order of human existence on this earth. We are living on this earth to create a better world, to make a better world of peace, of harmony, of truth, of justice, of honesty for all human beings. And because of that, it is our role to be a sincere servant of Allah, understanding this nature of our existence as a test on this earth, perfecting ourselves along the way, and inshallah we can spread about this beautiful meaning of this deen of Islam to all Muslims, to have a higher order of thinking, to be civilizational, to be those who can carry this truth of being the Caliph of Allah, always striving to make ourselves good, helping others to be good, and making the world good, inshallah.